Welcome to the New Leaf podcast, and I'm the guest host today, Sam Oakes from the Financial Planner Life. And today we have an amazing story. Rachel Lane from Squirrel has joined New Leaf, and within 4 months, she's managed to move nearly 90 million.
As of IO this morning, we have 254 client records. In total, the assets under management will be around 80 to 90 million.
So we dig deep as to why she chose New Leaf, the experience that she has had so far, why she's glad she didn't go directly authorised.
When you compare that to New Leaf, the network that knows everyone's name, it's a massive shift. Now we're in a company where the network actually knows us. We can pick up the phone, we can talk to people.
Thank God you didn't go directly authorised.
Yeah, that's something I frequently remind myself
Imagine
of.
that.
There's having the might of the numbers behind you, because yes, we're in a lucky situation of we know what our funds under management are, we know how many clients are coming across, but if you are trying to move a small number of clients and you've kind of got a platform not really interested, you can bring the New Leaf to bear on them and say, okay, well, this is, I'm not on my own, I've got all these people behind me. And I think that can help, safety in numbers.
And how she's built a team so quickly to deliver the best client experience she can to her customers.
I wouldn't hold back on the admin. If we need more people, then I'll go out and hire them. And that is really scary because, it takes a little while for money to switch on. But I needed to make sure clients were looked after and felt looked after. And you need boots on the ground. When you've got 254 clients to cover, you need physically people that can pick up the phone and talk to people.
I hope you enjoy it. So Rachel, thanks for joining me today on the New Leaf podcast. And for those that don't know me, I'm Sam Oakes. I'm the host of the Financial Planner Life podcast, where we talk about careers within financial planning. I've been helping out with the New Leaf podcast, which is turning over a new leaf in financial planning, which is an awesome podcast for anybody that's considering either mortgage route or financial advice and setting up their own business. And you are one of those individuals. And today we're going to find out about your journey. You're quite fresh to self-employed.
Yep, it's still very, very new.
It is still very, very new, which is brilliant, because I wonder how many people are out there thinking, I really want to set my own business up, but I'm a bit nervous about doing it. So let's start with that. When did you think about setting up your own business? How long ago was that?
Crikey. I've probably got the award for being the longest lead with the New Leaf. We started talking a couple of years ago, and it was really, I remember being sat in a meeting and one of my clients said to me, you can only be the dissenting voice in the boardroom for so long. You can only be the person who keeps standing up and saying, I don't like this, I don't think it's right. And there was a moment in my firm where I just went, I don't like what we're doing, but because I'm an employee, I have to do what we're doing. I have to follow policy. And I realised in that moment that if I wanted to be true to myself and deliver my promises to my clients, that I was going to have to be self-employed to do it.
How were you feeling at the time? What did it feel like internally, emotionally?
Incredibly angry. It's been a bit of a journey. And I think there was a lot of anger because I joined a company thinking that we all believed in the same thing. And it becomes apparent that not everyone in financial services believes in delivering the same promises to the clients. But we've learnt to let go of the anger and focus on the incredible situation we're in and the joy of being able to say to a client, you employ me to do what is best for you, and there is no one else in this. I will do what's right for you. There are no external shareholders that I have to deliver to. It's just what's right for you, and obeying the FCA rules.
No, this is it. Your name's now above the door, right? All the responsibility is on you. Look, people who sit within those employed roles in those businesses, they feel almost like tied to that company. They feel like they have to put 110% effort into almost staying within a business, where often the actual experience and the education that they have, the knowledge that they have, could 100% be suited to going off on your own journey and setting up your own business. But a lot of people don't really understand the routes. You've got AR, you've got registered individual, you've got directly authorised. It all sounds incredibly challenging and confusing. And when you hear about it takes months and months and months to get on the FCA register and all those typical types of things. So you were speaking with New Leaf. How long ago?
I think it was probably coming up 3 years now, because it was a good 2 years before I'd actually signed the paperwork. I think the contracts had changed from the first one I'd been given. It had taken so long. But it was about making sure that I'd done it at the right time for me, because it is a real shift, and trying to make sure that my life was in a place where I could support that and give it my all. Yeah. Because you only get so many chances with your clients. Like, clients will follow you, but you have to get it right. You can't keep bouncing them.
Just give us an overview. So the types of clients that you were working with before joining New Leaf, obviously you still work with those same clients, but what sort of level of client were you looking after?
I would say we specialise in multi-generational. So we have a number of clients that are several £1 million worth of assets under management. But then within that, you've got the different generations. So then you've got the children who have less mortgages, life insurance. And then, our youngest client that we're signing up at the moment is 3 weeks old. So he doesn't have very much at the moment, but we're hoping that will grow with him. So we do work with quite varied. They are typically high net worth because that's the kind of clients that really make the business pay. But within that, we have quite a lot of variance as well.
Do you think about the great wealth transfer quite a lot and the amount of money that's going to be passed down intergenerationally over the next few years?
Yeah, we have to. It's a key part, and I think it's a key pitch of what advisors can do. The accumulation part is obviously significant, but now there's a lot of clients, especially with the change in pensions that's coming up. That's going to be huge, and these people have been promised that if you keep paying into your pension, you can leave it inheritance tax free, and now they've gone, we're just going to pull the rug out. And so it's something that we've got to really consider.
Okay. So let's just give the listeners and the viewers a bit of context, okay? How many clients within 4 months have you successfully moved across to New Leaf, and what does that equate to in assets under management?
So as of IO this morning, we have 254 client records. So quite a few. And that varies from, the client who's got a really complicated structure of loan trusts, discounted gift trusts and ISAs and GIAs, down to maybe a client who's got 20,000 in an ISA because they're a fairly new client to us and we're building on it. In total, the assets under management will be around 80 to 90 million. So it's been a tall task. I keep meaning to work out how many pieces of paper that is because we've had to go out and get client agreements. We've done it all via letter of authority, which is not maybe the easiest way of doing it, but it worked for our circumstances. It's been a massive task and one I absolutely could not have done on my own.
Right. First off, look, that's a phenomenal amount of AUM that you're transferring, a huge amount of clients. Like moving from employed to self-employed, you must have done a bit of a beauty parade and gone out there and talked to a few people. I've got to ask, why did you end up with New Leaf? I'd like to hear your account. Why? Because there's going to be plenty of people out there sitting there with maybe similar client banks and thinking, where do I go? Who's the right person? Are they professional enough? Can they deal with the level of clients that we're dealing with? Because you also deal with clients who are from a corporate background, employee benefits also as well. So tell us, why New Leaf?
When I started this process, I went out and spoke to lots of different companies. And partly a big draw was we had been bought by an international investor and they hadn't done any talking to staff. So there was no kind of conversation about what the staff wanted or who our clients were. It was just you've been bought and this is your future now. And when you compare that to New Leaf, the network that knows everyone's name, it's a massive shift. And it's something that we talk to our clients about we are the story of consolidation gone wrong. I'm incredibly lucky, but it has been a horrible 2 years. And the flip side of that is now we're in a company where the network actually knows us. We can pick up the phone, we can talk to people. And I always say to people, when you pick up the phone to New Leaf, invariably you ask who you're related to, because everyone is either friends or relatives. And that's such a great testimony to the company, because there's no way I would have said to any of my family, come and work with me at my old company. But everyone at New Leaf feels comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
And so I think that is really a great sign of what a wonderful company it is to work for. And also the other companies that I talked to, they wanted more control over the clients. Now, I don't have necessarily very strong feelings other than it's got to be right for the client. And sometimes centralized investment processes don't necessarily go hand in hand with prioritizing that particular client. So I felt New Leaf was the least likely to shoehorn my clients into something. They'd give me the most control, but with the most amount of support. So it was a bit of a no-brainer when we got to the end of it.
I love it. Now, an awful lot of clients within a very short period of time to onboard. So within that 4-month period, what do you think has been the most strategically sound thing that you've done to help speed up that process to make it nice and slick?
Oh, that is a good question. I think one of the things that we did from the start was communication. So one of the big pieces of feedback we got from our clients was they didn't like communication under the old company. They didn't like the fact that the names weren't used. So we just made sure that we actually spoke to people. We picked up the phone. I think there's a lot of hiding behind emails, whereas one of the big things we've tried to do is speak to clients, communicate how they want, but actually reach out to them individually. We've used Adobe Sign because we could send out all the documents to get everything moving. So yeah, it's almost like we've gone back to old school, and that was partly led by the fact that we weren't novating in a traditional sense. We were using letters of authority, so it had to be a bit old school, but that gave us the opportunity to reach out to the clients and say, look, you know what happened when we were a big corporate, kind of concern, we lost a personal touch, we're going back to basics. I know you, I know your grandchildren, I know your kids, and here's a bit of paper that you're going to sign. So it was kind of taking it back to basics, and I think that really helped clients feel more secure with us.
I love it. But also as well, what about the onboarding of those clients? You're only one person.
Yeah.
What did you do in respect of hiring a team? Have you got that far yet? Have you done that within the first 4 months?
Yep. I had to do it before we even launched. When I realised what a big job it was, we straight away went out. I've got an amazing recruiter who's worked with me for a number of years. He knows me really well. He knows what I like. My operations manager was the first hire, and I went to some seminar years ago who said, the first person you hire when you need teams will be your operations manager. And that feels really against the grain because it's a big investment, but I needed somebody who could take all the other decisions off my plate. Like you say, 254 clients is one of me. I need to be doing the client-facing, the advisor work. I can't be worrying about what grade of paper we're using. So first hire was the operations manager, and luckily I knew somebody who knows me really well. So she came on board, and she's very good at sort of managing me, for want of a better phrase, but keeping everything going. And then we've hired a relationship manager, an admin, and the big thing that I've always felt is when it was my dime, when it was my company, I wouldn't hold back on the admin. If we need more people, then I'll go out and hire them. And that is really scary because, it takes a little while for money to switch on. Mm-hmm. But I needed to make sure clients were looked after and felt looked after. And you need boots on the ground. When you've got 254 clients to cover, you need physically people that can pick up the phone and talk to people. And you can't do it alone. So there is an element of investment. Most people wouldn't have to do that. If you were starting afresh, I'd banked on it just being me initially because I could have done that with the New Leaf support. But once it changed, I realised you've really got to have people around you.
I love it. Yeah, it's so familiar. The first hire, a really great operations person. It's something that I'm going through at the moment, and I really need an operations person within my business. So I'm out there putting the feelers out. Do you consider this individual like a COO? Is this your COO you hired here, is it?
Yep. She'll grow with the business. Slightly unique in that she doesn't have a financial services background.
And that was going to be my question. I was interested to see where she came from, actually. So yeah, fire away with that.
She's run her own business for 25 years or more, I guess. And actually it's in corporate interiors. She does office design.
Wow.
But I've known her for 7 years. She ran the business really well. She decided that was no longer a challenge, but also she wanted to be part of something. So she ran this business and would use subcontractors, but she didn't have a team around her. She was like, what I really want is to be part of growing something. And she was my sounding board. So she was like, well, you talk to me all the time about business. Why don't you pay me to do it? I was like, that seems reasonable. So she came on board, and she does all the decisions, and she takes care of the banking because it's a huge trust of you're self-employed, you've got this cash flow, and you've potentially hired a stranger that you don't know, and you're suddenly giving them, every access to your personal life, all your details, all your security questions, and they're managing all the money. So it was a huge trust thing for me, and I thought I need someone who can, because financial services can be learned. We all learned it. It's not, it takes time, but what I couldn't necessarily hire from a cold call was somebody that I could trust and go, take over my life and free me up to do the rest of it.
What I also love about your story is it's not a bolt-on. It's not like you had a financial planning business and you're bolting it onto a new network. You are literally building a brand new financial planning business underneath a network. So it's very intrapreneurial. Do you get that feeling that being an entrepreneur, but intrapreneur within the network, does it give you that security blanket, if you like?
It does. It's this huge mind shift of going from employed to self-employed, but kind of still feeling like there's a safety net. Yeah. Because, if you have a strong feeling, you go, this is what I want to do for a client, but you can also go, actually, this is the end result, and how we get there, I don't mind. So there's that kind of sense of they can take an awful lot of things off your plate, which helps because there are so many things that you have to think about, but it just kind of relieves that pressure a bit.
Brilliant. Such a huge amount of clients to move within such a short space of time. We've made the operations hire. Was there any other vital hires that you made within the business that have helped you ensure the relationship stays in place whilst you start to move these clients across, which is brand new to them, really. It's a risk for them as well, isn't it?
It is, and they'd had an awful lot of change. So they'd lost their advisor of 25 years. I'd been known to them because I started in my old company. I was a mortgage broker and an IFA at the same time. And it was, as it turns out, a genius move, because when their advisor was no longer available, they knew me. And I'd done good work for them, and I'd done their kids' mortgages, and I'd done their mortgage, or I'd done their equity release. So it wasn't a cold call, but being able to talk to them and bring them across. So we hired a relationship manager. She is terrifyingly clever. She's very bright. She's got a degree in economics. She's been a day trader since she was legally able to, in her own time. And she's really investment focused. And that is a great counterfoil to me. So I love going out and talking about people, and the sort of the social side of it, and doing the planning and the tax wrappers. And she's really interested in the nitty gritty. So
Right.
we're a good balance. And over the longer term, she'll take over more of the advice side. But being able to say to somebody, here is a very, very well-trained, clever person who's got all the qualifications. So if I'm not available, here's a backup, is really valuable. And it future-proofs my business.
And she hasn't worked in financial planning before?
So Nikita, our relationship manager, she has a financial services background. She's level 4 qualified. She was headhunted for a position to be an investment specialist, but she'd worked previously as a paraplanner within a local business.
Brilliant. Okay, I was going to say, it's that kind of hybrid role, isn't it? We're starting to see where it's one foot in paraplanning, it's one foot in relationship management. It's that concierge service. It does give people that kind of, I feel like a really great stepping stone into one day becoming a financial planner. So you're almost kind of inadvertently building your career development framework there as well. And hopefully, fingers crossed, it sounds like she's going to be the first person who's going to go through that process by the sounds of it.
That's a hope, because one of the questions that clients ask me is, what happens if you fall under a bus? And that is a factor. So being able to say somebody in the business, also I'd like to grow the business. We've kind of gotten here by, not accident, but, by luck.
Bit of luck.
Yeah, it's a huge amount of luck. So being able to say, right, this is how we're going to grow the business, because you've got to keep growing. And you've got to keep moving forward, because if you just rely on the client bank you've got, clients will leave, clients will die, you won't always get the children on board. So the best way to protect the future of the existing clients and the staff is to have a growth plan.
Great stuff. So how many people have you got in your business so far?
So currently we have myself, Nicola, our operations manager, Nikita, our relationship manager. We have Richard, who works on a freelance admin basis. I'm hoping that he's going to move across to support our mortgage arm. We've got another admin joining us in October, and we have a virtual PA who supports the employee benefits arm. She was probably my second hire when I didn't know how much admin resource I needed. Using a virtual PA was a really good way of being able to say, right, I've got somebody to support me, but I haven't got a huge outlay on cost. So that worked really well. So there's a few of us.
Love it. Also, love hearing female leaders within financial planning, and a female leader who's attracting more females into the business. And it sounds like your leadership team is probably 75% female.
Yes, it wasn't on purpose, but it ended up being that we are predominantly a female business. But yeah, by accident, Richard is very much outnumbered, unfortunately.
Do you think there's a reluctance from females working maybe in an employed role to actually take that leap into self-employment? Do you think so?
Definitely. I had two colleagues who were in a similar boat to me. One has decided to stay employed, and the other has taken the leap, but kind of at the 11th hour, waited much longer. It's scary. It is a big jump. You don't have the same, in terms of, if you need to stay home for, because you're sick or any other emergency, you haven't got the same backup. You have more autonomy and you have a greater degree of control over your ladder. But in terms of being able to actually say, right, I can put my work down at 5, that's harder. And I think there is more risk, and a lot of them go to St. James's Place. So I belong to a female network, and often I will get a call from somewhere like Bristol and say, we need an IFA, but the closest one in the female network is you, because everyone else is St. James's Place. And they do seem to offer, I don't know if that's because they offer, or they're better known for offering the support, because I can't imagine any network's going to, it sounds a bit stupid on a podcast, but I can't imagine any more support than Newleaf already offer. I can't imagine what else they could be doing. But I think St. James's Place has got a well-oiled marketing machine that means that quite a lot of female self-employed advisors end up there.
Yeah, well, they got like an incredible, well-oiled marketing machine, and they target a lot of second careerists as well, and they will work to specific niches within whatever, female networks, basically. So yeah, I do a lot. I do quite a bit of work with St James's Place. Like, I do understand what they do. It's an incredible marketing machine. That's really great to see, though, that you're building that female leadership team. I think it's inspiring as well. But I do know that New Leaf, percentage-wise, there is a high volume of women that work within the New Leaf network. So Mark had an episode with Samantha Chalice, and that was a really interesting episode. And we talked a lot about that. And I've known Samantha from before she was even thinking about joining New Leaf. And there's a couple of people that have come through my podcast, and now they're ending up at New Leaf running their own businesses. And I look back over the messages I received, like almost 2.5 years ago, I'm thinking about joining the profession, and now they're here with New Leaf. So New Leaf must be doing absolutely something incredibly right in attracting women and retaining them, which is massively important, which is why today you're sharing the story, and hopefully it attracts more, because it's an important thing for us to do, is to get more women into the financial planning profession as a whole.
Definitely, we're underrepresented. And I think one of the things that New Leaf does really well is that they'll take new entrants, which again, like you said, is something St James's Place will do. But for people that want that independence, it is something that is hard. I mean, you see on the advisor forums, which is a fascinating place to be, about people saying, we've got a member of staff who wants to step up, and our network has said they won't support them. And so they're now thinking, well, do we not support a member of staff and not deliver on our promises? Or do we move the entire company networks, which is just, it's a crazy decision to have to make.
I do think as well, there's not a huge amount of IFA networks out there, or IFA businesses, that also cater for the training and development and the support from an academy perspective. So if you are looking to take people on that are fresh into the profession, or if you bring somebody in that's, say, part qualified, and you want to then put them into an environment where they can actually get trained up and go through their qualifications, get their CAS status, there is the support there from New Leaf to be able to do that as well. What about things like... we talked about administration. Networks are always known for power planning, administration, all different levels of support. Do you lean into that with New Leaf?
Definitely. I don't see the point in reinventing the wheel. They have a power planning service that is all set up. There's certain elements that we keep in-house. So they do have a letter of authority desk. We did the letter of authorities ourselves for the move, simply because we realised that it just wasn't going to work and we were going to swamp the team. But for the most part, if they've got a service, we use it because it's the best use of time. Why learn a whole system when we've already got somebody who's very willing to do it? It reduces our costs. Taking a power planner on is notoriously hard. They are very difficult to find, very difficult to keep. And New Leaf have got the team and they already know how to do things. So it seems to be kind of a brilliant way of doing it.
So quite a long period to make the decision to actually move, understandable. You're then in the business. Now, it's great to reflect sometimes, isn't it, and look at the things we might do differently based on experience. So can you just tell us about some of the things that maybe through experience that you would have done differently? Maybe you can give some advice to somebody starting out on their journey.
Actually, it was a conversation I had yesterday with somebody. I would have opened my agencies much, much sooner. So we had a deadline, but we couldn't send off paperwork before a certain date. So we started opening the agencies, and we thought that we'd given enough time to get agencies set up. Financial services is slow. It's so slow. So trying to get accounts across was really difficult. Some providers were brilliant, and you would literally just send an LOA across and they would switch the next day. Other providers, less so, and we had to send either a fax. Who has a fax machine?
No way.
Yeah, fax or a wet signature was their requirement. And they still lost half the forms we sent them anyway. So definitely open your agencies, make sure that you're in talks with the platforms early on. We did start, we were chasing things, but I think if we'd gone to them straight away and said, right, here's the game plan, you're going to get 84 letters of authority from us, this is how it's going to work. I think if we'd taken much more control earlier, we would have saved ourselves more hassle later on in the summer.
Thank God you didn't go directly authorised.
Yeah, that's something I frequently remind myself of.
Imagine that.
Yeah, would have been
How
a disaster.
stressful that would have been.
Yeah.
On your own, trying to do all of that. And leaning into, I suppose, to New Leaf as well. They've been there, done it, got the T-shirt, working, when it comes to agency agreements. They kind of know what works, what doesn't work. They've got the relationships there. They're there to hold your hand. They've experienced it before. Did you get that?
Yeah, and if we were having problems, we could call on people. And also, there's having the might of the numbers behind you. Because, yes, we're in a lucky situation of we know what our funds under management are, we know how many clients are coming across. But if you are trying to move a small number of clients and you've kind of got a platform not really interested, well, you can bring the New Leaf to bear on them and say, okay, well, this is, I'm not on my own. I've got all these people behind me. And I think that can help, safety in numbers.
I love it. I can't believe I'm asking this question because the first 4 months sounds like a growth story like I've never heard before. But what are the plans for the future? What are your, what are the big things that are going to come? What's in your mind when it comes to growth?
So my ultimate plan is to grow us out as a business, because one of my huge reasons for moving was I wanted to work for a company that really treated their staff well. Clients should be at the forefront of everything, but I don't see why that needs to be at the detriment to the advisor and the staff. Everyone should be treated fairly. Everyone should be treated with respect. So what I want to do is grow the business, expand, get more advisors in who share the same kind of vision, that want to work in something. Because while I was really happy being self-employed, I was happy with the leap. It took me a little while to do it because I had to sort my life out, but I got there. That isn't right for everybody. So what I want to do is set up a firm that allows us to kind of almost like collective advisors, which I think New Leaf has within their New Leaf distribution kind of, they've got the advisors that kind of work within that, but to have my own little centre of that to grow something, because I've been given an amazing opportunity. And if I slept on that and rested on my laurels, I don't think I'd forgive myself. So maybe 4 advisors in total, and however many staff it takes to make that work.
I love it. A lot of people get into financial planning through a motivation of helping people with financial well-being. Is there anything at all that's in like a burning sort of purpose-driven motivation for you when it comes to your business? And if you could look back at the end of your career and say, I got involved in that and I made a difference. Is there anything outside of the financial well-being, if you like, for the clients that you're working with?
A huge part is the well-being. I don't come from a kind of family that has a financial advisor. So there's, obviously the personal driver of being able to look at my family situation and say, how much better would my life have been if somebody had said this? So my dad died when I was 17 and he had no life insurance. So how much better would it have been if when they went to buy their mortgage from the bank, the advisor had actually said to them, well, hang on a second, let's do a financial review. So there's always that element. But I've also got this passion project, which I keep talking about, so I need to make good on this. But financial education for children is just nowhere near what it should be. So that's part of what we want to develop. It's in the national curriculum, but so many schools don't have the times or the resources. And there's more programs, striking up to do that. But I think there's a real benefit to being able to provide financial education for children and for young people, and trying to make sure that everyone has access to financial planning. I appreciate that not everyone wants or needs a financial advisor, but being able to have the education that they can at least know why they should opt into a pension when they start working, or how an ISA works, when they should do a tax return, really basic things that actually most children aren't taught. And if they don't have a parent that knows it, where are they meant to get this information from?
Love it. Carla Brown's a good friend of mine. She's the president of the PFS. They're involved quite deeply in respect of education within schools. So it might be a little introduction I can make there to start to bring you further forward once you're ready.
Yeah.
You sound like you're incredibly busy.
No, definitely, because I found the PFS, I can't remember, the mentor system, and it was something that I definitely want to get us involved in. The area that we work in has an awful lot of schools that are delivering, but you tend to find that they're private schools. Those children probably already will have access to an IFA, but being able to actually deliver it. I'd love to meet people and develop something.
Fantastic. Well, this podcast is called the New Leaf Podcast, and it's all about turning over a new leaf within financial planning. So what's the one new leaf that you're turning over in your business right now?
So this is probably in contrary to what I just said about we've gone old school. We are, we went out with paper and we went out to see people. We are embracing technology. I'm very late to the AI game. It was something that I largely ignored, but we're now trying to embrace the old school, the relationship management, the being personable with using the AI to support us where we can to try and make that slick. Because even if we halve the client bank, me and Nikita will have 120 clients. That's still a lot. But using AI to streamline things without losing that personal touch, that's our next challenge.
Beautiful. And you're starting a business really at the right time. And again, it got to hark back to being in an ecosystem where you've got people around you that are actually investing the time and energy into researching that technology for you. Because it's a busy time for you. You're in growth. The last thing you probably are thinking about is AI. Well, you're thinking about it, but maybe don't have time to implement. So it's good you've got, the likes of Dan out there talking to these AI companies, finding out what the best one is and coming back to you with that information. So when the time is right, accelerate the growth. At a beautiful time, you're coming in at the right time really to implement it. That's a really exciting time, I think, for you to do that. And turning over that new leaf seems a really, really positive one, actually.
And it's so valuable having that kind of, it's like having your own kind of board of people working on your behalf.
Yep.
So, that comes in, you have your CPD delivered to you, and being able to say, okay, I didn't necessarily have time to go out and find out about this product, but they've done it and brought it to us. It just saves you so much time and really helps with keeping your education and keeping all your options open.
Amazing. Well, it sounds a really exciting business. Now, if people want to connect with you, tell us who you are in full, tell us where they can find you, your company name, etc.
So I'm Rachel Lane. It's Squirrel Financial Planning. We're based in Hazelmere, but we have clients all over. You can find us on... I'm old-fashioned, so we don't have TikTok. I'm too old. So we have Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Our website is www.squirrelfinancialplanning.co.uk. And we'd love to talk to anybody that shares the same sort of vision.
But I'm looking forward to hearing more about you and your success in your business, and we wish you all the best here at the Financial Planner Life. And thanks for having me as a guest host on the New Leaf podcast.
Thanks a lot.